Hey guys, welcome to this reading. I'm super excited about this type of reading that I'm going to do. I'm going to go in depth on who you are. First, we're going to talk about your personality. We're also going to pick up on perhaps what your life purpose is. Also, what's your approach to romance, so your romance style, and what's your spirituality type, you know, like kind of a description of your spiritual approach. So, I'm excited about this. We have 8 reading options, which are represented by these 8 gemstone cards. On the top row from left to right, we have number 1, number 2, 3, and 4. And then on the bottom row left to right, we have 5, 6, 7, and 8. Your timestamps are going to be listed in the description box and at the top of the comments as usual. If you want, you can go ahead once you've selected your card and just click on the timestamp to take you to your reading. So you can either select your reading based on the image that you feel most drawn to. Sometimes I like to just close my eyes and let Spirit, you know, tell me which reading number is the right one for me. And I also sometimes like to just look at the numbers in the timestamps. And to me, numbers kind of emanate a certain energy. And I can't explain it, but I can just look at a number and kind of know sometimes that that is the right reading for me. But everyone viewing this is going to have their own way of connecting to their to your specific intuition about which reading is right for you. So pay attention to that. You can pause the video if you'd like in order to give yourself time, and then once you've selected your reading, I'll see you there. All right, guys, I'm going to start out by using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This is the reading for people who chose number 1. By the way, your stone that you chose is Amazonite, and it's so pretty. It says, "Speak from your heart." So, I feel like you are, first and foremost, someone who really does speak from your heart. And also, I feel like you're someone who's very in touch with your inner child. You also could be someone who's kind of like an Amazon princess type, you know, like a very strong, strong-willed, maybe even physically strong. Of course, that's not personality, but I feel like you are someone who doesn't put up with any BS. Let's see what we get from the tarot. Okay, interesting. So, I'm going to read these cards in 2 different ways. So if you guys are familiar with the Myers-Briggs, I've created a little like format of how I'm going to read each of these, and that's going to give me an indication of your personality. Now, if you already know your Myers-Briggs type, and the type that I say is not your type, that's okay. I'm kind of just using this as a means of channeling information about you. I'm also going to be looking at the meaning of the cards as well to kind of further get into it. But for the first card, if it's upright, for example, that would be an extrovert rather than an introvert. So I feel like you're extroverted. For the second one, because it's upright, I feel like you're more of a sensor than an intuitor. So extroverted, sensing, thinking rather than feeling, and then perceiving. So an ESTP. So an ESTP personality type. Okay, so an ESTP person who is someone who is very adventurous. They're a risk taker. You're definitely a people person. You like to be very active and adventurous and trying new things. You can be very dramatic, not in the way of like, so dramatic, you know, you're not boring. You're a very interesting person. I feel like you like to keep things moving. You might be someone who talks quickly as well. Like it doesn't take you, like if you're in a conversation, you are someone who kind of like thinks as you talk, which is actually common for all extroverts. You're really good at understanding people's attitudes about things and motivations, which again is part of what makes you a very good people person, because you know, you get along with a lot of people. I feel like you're very well liked, but you also kind of understand what's going on with other people so you can respond to it in a way. You like having a lot of fun, and you're definitely not afraid of being the center of attention. And you're not afraid also of taking risks. So I'm not going to lie, I am looking at a website right now to kind of help me understand, because I don't have, there are 16 personality types, and I definitely don't have them memorized, but there are only like maybe 3 that I feel like I really know, and this is not one of them. But so some famous people who have been typed as an ESTP are Angelina Jolie, Madonna, Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, Ben Affleck, Ryan Seacrest, Amy Winehouse, Lucille Ball, and Cary Grant. So like I said, these are people who are very like comfortable being around people. They like showing off, and maybe even being very entertaining. Okay, so let's look at these cards as well. So we have the Page of Cups. So again, we have that childlike quality, and we got that with the Amazonite card as well. I think my tea kettle is going off. One moment. Okay. Yeah, so you are like very, you're very in touch with your inner child. Again, there's that sense of being someone who can really have fun. And you're very approachable. I feel like it's easy for people to approach you and feel comfortable with you. We also have the Hierophant. I feel that you are someone who people actually come to for guidance. They might come to you for advice. Your friends might think of you as the person who really, you know, is a little bit, you know, even though you're very in touch with your sense of, you know, your inner child, they see you as this wise person who just kind of has the answers. And so if your friends are going through difficult times, they probably turn to you for guidance. You could also, some of you could be very traditional in some way, maybe attracted to sort of like traditional religion, or very traditional philosophies or perspectives on life, or political perspectives. I feel like you are someone who your emotions are always fluctuating. And I feel like it's hard for you sometimes to make sense even of your own emotions because of that. Yeah. And so with the Ace of Swords reversed, I feel like a lot of times you really doubt yourself. Like you, I feel that you are, I don't know how to put it in words. Like I think that you veto a lot of things in life. It's sort of like, in order to decide if you like something or not, or if something's a good or a bad path for you, it's easier for you to determine if it's not a good path than it is for you to decide that it is good. It's sort of like you go through like a process of elimination more so than anything else. Okay, so I'm also going to look at your life purpose, and I'm going to look at this. Again, this is channeling, so this may not be, if you're familiar with your astrology, this might not be your actual astrology. But I'm going to try to figure out, I'm going to look at, in astrology, your life purpose is shown, and at least in Western astrology, I feel like it's a little bit different in Vedic. But your life path is shown by where your north node is in your chart. So here we have Cancer in the 9th house. So this is interesting because the 9th house is all about, so again, your actual north node may not be here, but this is how I'm channeling the information. So hopefully that makes sense to you. The 9th house, you know, is about spirituality. It's about our belief systems, kind of like the Hierophant here. Cancer, very similar to the Page of Cups. It's, you know, the sign of Cancer is very in touch with emotions. Again, Cancers in general are people who other people feel very comfortable with sharing their emotions and turning to for guidance and support. So I feel like part of your life purpose really is, you know, like we said before, to be sort of a guide for other people. When other people are feeling confused about their own life path, and especially if they feel emotionally distraught, you have this sort of like, I used this phrase before, and I feel like it's accurate, like a kind of a mother hen quality to you, where, you know, I don't think that I think you are probably not going to be someone who's attracted to being a spiritual leader per se, although you might be. Well, I don't know. Yeah, with Cancer in the 9th, maybe you would be. But I feel like even if you are not, like, people just naturally feel like you're someone who has the answers, you know, if they're, and it's not like, you know, it's not like they're looking to you to find out what's morally right or wrong to do. It's more like they feel like you'll understand emotionally why certain things that they're going through are difficult, and you have this kind of inherent wisdom about what the best approach would be in order to help them feel more emotionally okay. So I feel like that is like a major life purpose for you, is just kind of being there for other people and being this wise mother hen, wise old owl type personality who people just feel very safe with. People just feel so safe with you, and like if someone is going through a spiritual crisis or like an existential crisis too, like they know that you're not going to judge them about that. So that's really nice, I feel like. Let's see what else we get. I'm going to draw a card from the Angel Prayers Oracle deck. Yeah, change and transition. Thank you, Azrael, for leading me safely through this change. I feel like you are, again, this is part of your life purpose, is helping other people to go safely through, especially emotional changes, changes in their life that have a tremendous emotional impact. And again, you're like, you have this earth angel quality, like you hold everyone in grace, you hold everyone with such love. That for one thing, it's almost impossible for people not to like you. If people don't like you, it's probably because they are jealous of you, because you're incredibly likable. Let me see, I'm going to get some tea leaf cards as well. This is for life purpose. Do not back down from opposition. Show strength. Obstacles to overcome. A two-faced friend. Well, this doesn't say anything about life purpose. Okay, change. There's a lot about change. Like your life purpose really is about, for one thing, being able to approach change in your own life with this sort of bullheadedness, but this like in the most positive sense of it, because you have this tenacity and you don't back down from opposition. You also, like we said before, you are someone who's very aware kind of how people are. So if someone is pretending to be nice, but they're really not being very nice, you pick up on that. Not only for yourself, but for people who are dear to you. You're really able to give people guidance about who's good for them or not. And yeah, you're meant to learn how to overcome obstacles in life with this like bullheaded determination. This, you know, you're not afraid of going through major life transitions because you understand the significance of those changes. The caterpillar is going to become the butterfly, right? And there are other people who are not nearly as comfortable with change, and so you're really here to assist those people to become more accepting of and emotionally okay with the changes that are happening in their own life. All right, so let's ask Now, what's your approach to romance? Whoa. What's your approach to romance? Religious factors. Some of you might be very religious and stay optimistic about your love life. I feel like you have a very traditional approach to your love life. I mean, you know, you probably are definitely someone who would want like a long-term commitment. I feel that you know, you always try to stay optimistic about love, even when you go through difficult times. And again, it looks to me like this woman is approaching a, like she's in a graveyard. Like, even when things end in your love life, you try to focus on the positive because, again, you are always in this mindset of, well, if this relationship did not work, then it wasn't really meant to work. And you always understand that on the other side of an ending is a new beginning. So that's interesting. And in terms, so this is your spirit animal of romance card from my homemade deck that I've been making. So you are in the energy of the walrus in your love life. So this says, I represent someone who is both intelligent and whimsical. I am a gentle spirit who can deliver criticism in such a way that it doesn't feel like a criticism at all. That totally sounds like what we've been getting so far. I am lovable and kind, but I need my space as I enjoy my own company and need to have ample time to get lost in my head. Now, you're an extrovert, so I don't know if you need as much time alone as what this card would imply, but the rest of it does sound right for me. Advice for you. Others love having you around due to your unique, gentle aura. However, it is important for you to get away from the world from time to time. Do something nice for yourself, have a nice cup of hot tea, or take a long hot bath. So I think in general for you guys, you just need to really focus on self-care. And because you are so giving, you know, you give so freely to other people, you just need to make sure not to forget yourself in that process. Because again, a lot of people are coming to you for guidance and support because you're so good at it. Yeah, and I think, so I'm going to interpret this in terms of like how you come across to people when you're in relationships. You give people warm and fuzzy feelings. I feel like it says, when I start feeling cynical about the world, you remind me that there are still truly good people out there. I want to comfort you too. So I feel like you are trying to draw to you someone who is equally comforting because you have such a comforting presence yourself. All right, now let's see what your spiritual type is. You definitely seem like someone who has a strong, I would say a strong dogma, like maybe a religious tradition, or something that's more like rules-based. But let's just see what else we can figure out. But the Hierophant can also just mean someone who's very wise and has a lot of spiritual knowledge in general. Doesn't have to necessarily mean religion, although we do also have the religious factors card. Bridget, inner strength. Move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. Let's just see what it says here. Your spiritual fire is growing within. Recognize that the power of your soul is greater than you think. You have come a long way since you began this journey. There is a powerful force within you, and you have the ability to create wonderful changes in your own life and inspire those around you to do the same. Be aware of new projects, opportunities, and fertile ideas that can grow into something larger than you may imagine. Call on the fairy goddess Bridget to light the way ahead. So yeah, you guys really, I feel like you approach spirituality in terms of like owning your personal responsibility in life. It's like, you know that ultimately it's up to you to make shit happen in your life if you want it to happen. You know, yeah, I feel like you are a very spiritual person, but you're not just relying on your guides or whoever. You're not, you know, you're not saying, well, God will make this happen for me. You understand that you are the one who has to take the risks. You are the one who has to approach change and be willing to overcome obstacles and not back down. So yeah, so to sum up the reading, that, folks who chose number 1, is who you are, and you are very lovely. All right, so thank you so much for watching this reading. I'll see you around. Bye, guys. All right, this is the reading for people who chose number 2. First of all, the stone you chose was scolecite, and the key phrase is dive into your dreams. So I feel like you are someone who really dives deep in life, and I feel like you really find the spiritual meaning and purpose behind everything that you experience. You're not afraid to really experience the fullness of life, emotionally, spiritually, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck to draw 4 cards. And these 4 cards are going to give me an idea of your personality in 2 different ways. I'm just going to do 3 shuffles here. Okay. Okay, interesting. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to just read the cards themselves. But I'm also going to, like, I've formulated this plan for how I can create like a Myers-Briggs profile for you guys. A Myers-Briggs, it's just a personality typing system. And based on whether or not each of these 4 cards is upright or reversed is going to give me an idea of how you fall on these 4 different areas of how the Myers-Briggs determines personality. So these are all upright. So you're going to be an extroverted, sensing, thinking, and judging type, an ESTJ. Interesting. So, let's see. All right, so first of all, ESTJ, I guess, is the most popular personality type. There are more of you guys than there are of any other personality. So I feel like you probably fit in very well. It's also notable that there are a lot of U.S. presidents, and I know not everyone who watches is from the U.S., but I would assume this is just the case with world leaders in general, but a lot of people in leadership positions who are ESTJs, because you all are natural leaders. You have a sense of duty, responsibility, and obligation. You're very loyal. Sometimes it means loyal to country, loyal to family, loyal to community. You're also very hardworking and dedicated. You're not afraid of expressing yourself, with or without tact sometimes, but you definitely make your opinions on things known. You also prefer things to be more familiar, so you can be a little bit more reserved and conservative. So that's what, let me see here. You're also very strategic. You're very ethical, like I said, hardworking, dedicated, honest. You're very practical. You're not going to get lost in your head, lost in the clouds, lost in a dream fantasy of reality. You're very in touch with the actual practical reality, what needs to be done. You tend to be very organized. Let's see. And you're just a very dignified, strong-willed, principled person. So that's what we have. Now let me read the cards as well. So we have the Hanged Man. So again, with the 10 of Wands as well, this is someone who is very, they can be, or you can be a bit of a martyr sometimes. Like you're willing to put in the hard work to make things happen. You are willing to be self-sacrificing. I do also see the Hanged Man as someone who is spiritual in the sense that they're kind of always looking to understand things more deeply. This is someone who's also very willing to consider other perspectives. Even though we got from the general ESTJ personality that you prefer what's already known, you're willing to consider other people's new ideas, new ways of doing things. But you're going to make the most practical approach. So sometimes it is practical to consider new ideas. And of course, if that's the case, that's what you're going to do. You're definitely willing to take on a lot of responsibility because you see it as being very important in order to get a lot done. You're very communicative. You're very good at networking, I feel like. And with the Five of Swords, you're kind of competitive, I would say. I feel like you know, because you have such a strong sense of who you are and the fact that you are meant to lead people, you're not afraid of saying, hey, I'm the better person for the job, so to speak. I'm the right person for this job. You know, I'm the right person to take leadership here. All right. So let's also look into your life purpose. So again, what I'm doing here is a channeling approach. I'm going to use astrology here for this. In astrology, your life purpose, at least in Western astrology, is most associated with where your North Node is. And if some of you out there know where your North Node is, and if what I say here doesn't correspond to that, that's okay. Because again, this is just my how I'm channeling. Okay, so we have Pisces in the 4th house. So this is interesting. These are both watery places. The 4th house is home, and it has to do with home and family, your personal life. So a lot of you might be people who are public figures, or you know, might be managers or bosses or even political leaders. You're taking leadership within your communities. So I feel like, and you're extroverts, so you're out in the public a lot. But part of your spiritual purpose in this lifetime is actually to be very spiritually attuned to your home and family. The 4th house is also about the past. It can even be about past lives. It's also about just connecting with your inner core, the inner core of who you are. I feel like you guys are meant to, you're meant to understand who you are in kind of the, in terms of the whole collective, like you, let me see. Let me get some other things here as well. You're definitely very loving people, and part of your life purpose is to create more love and acceptance within your own family and home life. Also, this incorporating a sense of art into your life. And I think being comfortable with the unknown. These are all things that you are meant to pursue in this lifetime. I'm just going to get some more information here as well. You should accept valid criticism. April is not really telling me much. Triumph over troubles and obstacles. So I definitely feel like you, in your lifetime, you're going to be presented with a lot of different opportunities. Exciting opportunities. Definitely opportunities to take leadership. And I feel like, you know, part of your life purpose is just to take full advantage of all of those opportunities. And sometimes the greatest opportunities for you are actually going to be, you know, ones that make you feel a little bit like a martyr, like the Hanged Man with this Pisces energy as well. There is a feeling that sometimes life is not going to go so well for you. And I think you're meant to really do some deep inner seeking and understand why life doesn't always go well for you. You know, you do have a lot of opportunities that will present themselves in your life. But in order to take advantage of those, you're going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles as well. And because you're going to be successful in life, you will be putting yourself up for criticism. People are definitely going to be criticizing you, and you have to find a way how to deal with that as well, which is part of what this inner seeking is about. Like, how do you love people who are being pretty hurtful, you know? Okay, so next we're going to look at how do you approach your love life. How do you guys who chose number 2, how do you approach your love life? Okay. I feel like you are people who you know, maybe you're supposed to learn how to take more of a leap of faith, even in terms of your love life. But I think in general, you are people who kind of wait. We have getting to know each other reversed. I feel like you're not willing, even though you're extroverted, you're not willing to just date anybody. You have very high standards. You're optimistic that the right person is going to come along, but you're not going to settle. You're definitely not a settler. You're looking for the person who is the right person for you, and you're not going to accept less. I'm also got a card here from my personal deck that I've been making, which is, I'm calling it the Spirit Animals of Romance card, and we have the starfish for you guys. It says, I represent someone who understands they were born to achieve something great. That is so interesting because that is what I'm getting from you guys. Someone who is born to achieve something great, but who does not have a strong ego need for acclaim. That is so true because you all are so self-sacrificing. You're willing to sacrifice and put in the hard work. It's not about the acclaim or the recognition. It's just about knowing that a job is going to be done well if you're in charge. You know, you have that confidence. I will work slowly and carefully toward my goals, feeling out opportunities and sidestepping obstacles along the way. Guys, I'm just shuffling and pulling this randomly. I trust in my journey. I trust the calling of my heart. Advice for you. You have a divine purpose, and part of that purpose is to align with a truly loving mate who will be mindful of your sensitive nature. You are good at seeing the potential in another, but sometimes you mistake their potential for who they currently are and miss red flags in the process. Set good boundaries. With 4th house in Pisces and 4th house, that makes sense. Because boundaries at home especially could be very, you know, not very firm. See people more clearly and do not allow others to take advantage. So this is what love interest would think of you. Message from your beloved. You are clearly so special. I hardly think you understand the blessing that you are to myself and to so many. I hope to uplift you and help you achieve your dreams. So in terms of your approach to romance, you're looking for someone who's going to align with you and have kind of the same vision of the world that you do, because you know you have a strong purpose. And you feel that you're someone who is going to be by your side helping you to achieve these big dreams that you have for yourself. So I really like this. So finally, what's kind of your approach to spirituality? We're going to get a card from the Keepers of the Light deck. And just kind of wrap up the reading from there. Ooh, Joan of Arc, voice of truth. Stand strong, focus on your purpose. Again, purpose is so strong for you guys. Release the fear of persecution and speak your truth. And the thing is, you guys are going to be persecuted because you are going to be successful. You do have this strong purpose, but there are going to be some haters for sure. Okay, so let me just read from the book. If I can figure out where I put it. Okay, so Joan of Arc. All right. You are being encouraged to stand strong. You may feel unrecognized and misunderstood, but that doesn't mean you have to give up on the mission you feel called to fulfill. You must follow the will of your soul and exercise your leadership spirit. This is uncanny, this reading. So many synchronicities. By speaking your truth, you may feel as though you are on a battlefield, but this conflict will come to an end as soon as you stop defending yourself. You are not here to prove yourself to others, Instead, approve of yourself. Know that your angels are on your side and that heaven is thanking you for being the honest soul that you are. So you're someone who is willing to stand up and defend what you know is right, even when there is a lot of opposition. And I feel like there is like this sense of spiritual integrity with you guys. So in terms of your approach to spirituality, that's what I think that it is. So I hope this reading really was meaningful and helpful to you guys. It definitely had a lot of synchronicities. So, so yeah, hope you enjoyed that, guys. I will see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome guys who chose reading number 3. First of all, the stone that you chose is Larimar. And so the key phrase here is slow your roll. It says, remember, chill is a choice. Ride the cool breeze with Larimar. So you guys could be a personality that kind of, you know, gets worked up easily. You become very passionate about things. All right, but let's see what the cards say. I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, and I'm going to be reading these cards in 2 different ways. I'm going to read what the actual cards are, but I've also got a system here where I'm going to kind of type you in terms of what your possible Myers-Briggs personality type would be. Now, if you already know, so this is just a personality typing system. If you're not familiar, if you are and you already know what your type is and it doesn't match with what I say, that's okay, because I'm kind of just using this in a way to sort of channel your personality, okay? So in terms of the Myers-Briggs, I'm going by uprights and reversals. So this being upright means you're more extroverted. This one means you're more of a sensor. This being reversed means you're a feeler. And this being upright means you're a judger. So you would be an extroverted, sensing, feeling judger, ESFJ. Okay. All right, so I had to look up ESFJs because I wasn't familiar, but Ariana Grande is an example of a famous person with this personality type. ESFJs tend to be extroverted, social butterflies, but you're also very sensitive and caring. You're very emotionally warm. You make people feel comfortable and you really like other people. You're very compassionate. You tend to be an organized person. You're always ready to listen to other people. You prefer to live in the real world rather than a world of fantasy. Let's see what else we can see about ESFJs. Like I said, you're the stereotypical social butterflies. You definitely make other people happy. They really like having you around. You probably were very popular in school. You probably still are very popular. You're someone who likes to be at social events and or hosting social events. If you do host, you're going to be very good at it. You enjoy being the center of attention, but you also like take equal turns listening and giving other people the spotlight. So, all right, so let's see what the cards themselves say as well. So with the Sun, I mean, this describes, again, you have this very cheerful, optimistic personality. I feel like, you know, when worrisome or anxiety-inducing things come up, yeah, you can get caught up in that sometimes, but with the Nine of Swords reversed, I do feel like you're pretty good at putting your anxieties and fears to rest and like mostly focusing on the positive, being more optimistic. I also get the King of Pentacles, so I sense that you are someone who definitely is motivated by money, not in a greedy way, but just because you understand that money is very useful and you want to be someone who feels very safe and secure in life. You're definitely going to be someone who's very capable of earning money. I also think you're very intelligent. I think you have a very strong sense of integrity. Your morals, your sense of what's right and wrong is very firm as well. All right, so let's get into what is your life purpose. So for this as well, I'm doing sort of a channeling. And for this, I'm looking at, in astrology, the North Node is the point in your chart that would give us the most information about life purpose. Actually, I think maybe it's this one. Second house. But if you're someone who is familiar with your astrological chart and you know that this is not your North Node, again, that's okay. I'm using this more to channel than anything else. So Aries in the second house, to me, would indicate someone who, again, like, you are going after your money. You're going after your resources in life, and that's part of your life purpose. You know, you might not see that as being like a spiritual purpose, you know, to be focused on creating your own material prosperity and abundance, but for you it is. Like, you know, learning how to meet your own financial needs in life. You know, like, you're going to be like a very career and money oriented person is what I feel like. And whether you would, you know, whether it makes sense to you or not, that's actually part of your purpose. That's what you're here to learn. Your soul is learning how to do that. You know, our South Node, which would be in opposition to this, would be Scorpio in the 8th house. Scorpio in the, not Scorpio, Libra in the 8th house. Libra in the 8th house would be someone who shares resources with other people, or maybe who gets into a relationship in order to meet their material needs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this is interesting to me because Ariana Grande, like I said, was one of the famous ESFJ personality types when I pulled up a list of those. And, you know, she's got that song 7 Rings, which is like, I see it, I want it. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like she sees what she wants and she can buy it for herself because she's a boss lady. She's got money in the bank. So I think that that's what you all, maybe in past lifetimes, you may have been in relationships where you had to rely on a partner's resources, but in this lifetime, you're like, you know what, I can do this for myself. Let's see what we also get. The inner voice. Focus your mind. And study and learning. You all are definitely intellectuals as well with the Ace of Swords upright. You are always wanting to learn new things. So that is part of your life purpose. Like, I feel like you guys are, even a lot of you are very, maybe interested in metaphysics and learning about esoteric stuff, or science and mathematics, that type of thing. And that, if so, that's part of your life purpose. Also, just being in touch with your higher self, like your inner guide, that's also something that you're meant to learn more about in this lifetime. Let's see what else we get here. You'll be playing a different role. Let's see. Some of these cards just do not relate at all to what we're talking about. Oh yeah, psychic ability. Some of you are meant to really hone your psychic ability. What's this playing a different role? And I also feel like you, in different social situations, you might play different roles, you know. And that's part of your personality as well, that you can take on different roles in different situations and do that really effectively. I think you all are also very free-spirited with horse and wheel. You know, you're kind of meant, that's part of your life purpose, is to sometimes let your life ramble a little bit and just be okay with not knowing how things are going to turn out, per se. Okay, so let's also see, what are you guys like when it comes to romance? What's your approach to romance? All right. Okay, unrequited love. Express your love and attraction. I feel like you guys are unafraid of letting someone know that you've fallen head over heels for them. And you're not even scared of being rejected. You're like, if I like somebody, I'm just going to tell them, you know, like if I'm attracted to them, I'm going to trust my instincts here. Again, because you guys are learning to trust your intuition. And if someone does reject you, I feel like you really see the higher picture in that, you know, and you're not going to let it keep you from loving yourself. Let's see what we get from the Spirit Animals of Romance cards, which is just a deck that I've been making on my own here. When I get from this deck, I just kind of shuffle with my eyes closed. Sasquatch. We also get Escapist. This is interesting, because that was just randomly stuck in this deck somehow. Okay, so some of you really have, you might really like to escape. We got before just talking about your personality in general that you're more of a realist, but when it comes to romance, maybe you do kind of get your head into the clouds a little bit, and you may also seek a romantic partner as an escape from the rest of your life, especially since you guys are very focused on money. So Sasquatch. Interesting, because this is a very psychic energy as well. I represent someone who is difficult to get to know and who might be somewhat of a recluse, so I don't think that's accurate for you guys. I am in touch with other dimensions and can slip between them. I have experienced telepathic communication and in my own humble way serve a purpose of enlightening and guiding those who are ready to learn about their own otherworldly abilities. Advice for you, remember that all that is known was once unknown. The earth is not flat, nor is it the center of the solar system, although these ideas once predominated and anyone who disagreed was ridiculed. Science is helpful, but also clearly limited in what it can test, so do not let so-called rational thinking keep your own perception limited as well. In terms of romance, remember that looks can be deceiving. When you finally find your true love, they might be more than you ever expected. Message from your beloved. So I think this is more like what lovers and love interests would think of you. It says, I feel I have experienced telepathic communication with you. So if you think we have communicated in that manner, please take this as confirmation. Our love is mystical, strange, and perhaps it will make sense to nobody but us. That's okay with me, my love. So I feel like you do have this kind of like ethereal, very kind of like, maybe you're attracted to, I don't know, just like fantastic sort of ideas about romance and like mystical romance. Even though you're very grounded in like other areas of your life, when it comes to romance, like you want it to really like take your breath away and be otherworldly and be just like out of this world. You want love to be out of this world. That's what I'm getting. So the final thing that we're going to look at is just kind of what's your approach to spirituality? What's most important to you, or how do you express your spirituality? We're just using the Keepers of the Light Oracle deck for this. Gaia, Earth connection. Be mindful of the planet, come back to Earth, stay grounded. So I feel like maybe you guys kind of fluctuate a little bit between being grounded in certain ways and being very up in the clouds, up in the atmosphere even at times. Like out in outer space sometimes. But also very grounded to material reality in other ways, you know, like in terms of making money. Okay, you are blessed to receive this Great Mother card today because it shows that the earth itself, through the image of Gaia, is protecting your path. You are a strong, focused, and loving individual. Very true, I feel like. Stay grounded and don't allow your imagination, ego, or fears to run away with you. And I feel like that is your approach. You don't let fears get the best of you. Ensure your choices are for the highest good. Gaia is also bringing her motherly love to you and encircling you in a cocoon of peace. If you have had troubles with a mother in your life, or are feeling disconnected from or grieving your own mother, Gaia helps revitalize that connection and will bring healing where it is possible. If you are a mother and are worrying about these duties, know that Gaia is thanking you for your hard work and commitment. The earth is blessed to have you. What I also get is that you are someone who is very connected to earth reality, you know, like in terms of like seeking your material abundance with your Aries in the second house. You know, your approach to spirituality is like finding the spiritual element even in the material, like even in the earth plane, like, you know, looking at beautiful flowers and seeing the beauty in that. Buying a nice cashmere sweater for yourself and seeing that like there is a spiritual element to really rewarding yourself or treating yourself to something nice. You know what I mean? So I feel like you see spirituality in terms of really appreciating and having gratitude for material abundance and the finer things in life. All right, so guys, I hope that that was meaningful and helpful to you. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, this is the reading for people who chose reading number 4. First of all, the stone that you chose is aragonite. And the key phrase is find your center. It says, use this when it's time to retreat to your shell or step out of it. I feel like calling aragonite to help set a healthy, sustainable balance between, you know, being in your center and being in the outside world. So I feel like you are someone who kind of is good at both. You are very good at finding your center. All right, but let's get more into your personality. I'm going to be using the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck for this. And I'm going to be reading these cards in 2 different ways. I'm going to read the actual tarot meanings, you know, the classic interpretations, but I have my own way of reading the cards in terms of using this as kind of an oracle to understand what your Myers-Briggs personality type might be. So that's just like a well-known personality typing system. If you already know your Myers-Briggs type and what comes up here is not what you know it to be, that's okay, because I'm kind of just using this as a way to sort of channel. So, but it might be, and if so, I think this, you know, would make for a stronger reading. So you guys are my first introverts of the bunch. So based on whether or not each card is upright or reversed, it tells me where you fall on the 4 different areas that the Myers-Briggs system looks at. So you would be an introverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving, INTP, right? Yeah, because this reverse would be P. Interesting. Let's see. All right, so I had to look that up and see what it was about. So if you're familiar with the Big Bang Theory, apparently Sheldon Cooper is an INTP. Also Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin. So you guys are kind of like the, you know, the, oh, what's the phrase? Like, you have this very ingenious mind, this way of looking at the world. You might not be very in touch with other people's emotions or really have a sense of how to interact with other people, but you're very brainy, extremely intelligent, and ideas just come to you like in a very inspired way. You have these aha moments where like these kind of like big, important ideas just make sense to you. So you're not interested necessarily in being very popular, you know, like being well liked is not a huge motivator for you. You are more interested in new, brilliant ideas, discovering new information, new knowledge. Let me see here. Oops. You're extremely logical. You're very independent. You're unconventional. And pretty laid back in general. You don't get too worked up emotionally. So that's what I'm getting just from the INTP type in general. But let me look and see what the cards here say, just because we're going to get like a fuller impression here. We have the Tower card reversed. So that's interesting because, you know, to me, the Tower card are those like aha moments, you know, like you can see the Tower card here with this crown on top of it as sort of representing the crown chakra wanting to open. This is reversed, so there could be times when you all don't allow this to happen, but you do have very inspired ideas. In fact, Albert Einstein, I feel like he talked a lot about, I'm not an expert on Albert Einstein, but I do feel like he talked a lot about how his ideas came to him in kind of like, you know, more or less psychic ways. Like he was pretty eccentric. Or like, you know, some people would think that the way that he approached science was in kind of an eccentric way. I think a lot of people don't understand that about him. But he was not able to get to these like, these concepts that have really changed the entire way we view our existence. These came to him in these like divinely inspired ways. So I feel like you guys also have a very open and active crown chakra if you allow it to be. Like you have these lightning bolt moments of inspiration where you just kind of know and understand things. But this is reversed, so I think that some of you might be blocking that a little bit at times. Okay, and I also feel like, you know, you, because this is also what's indicating your introversion. I feel that you guys, you kind of need time alone sometimes in order to really process this kind of like lightning bolt information that's coming into you. We do also get the Knight of Cups reversed. So I feel like that's like kind of what we were saying before. Like you all aren't looking to be like the most people-pleasing types. Like in fact, you're not very aware exactly of other people's emotions. Like if you think of Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, for example, like he just is kind of like, he's very literal about everything, right? And so he doesn't understand these nuances of interpersonal interactions. So that could be the case with some of you as well. We also have the Chariot. I feel like you're a very focused and driven person. You know, you're thinking with a plan. You know, you're very intellectual, as we said, but you have a purpose behind it. You don't want to just be thinking and coming up and understanding these very abstract concepts just for the sake of it. Like for you, it needs to be practical. It needs to have some sort of application. For some of you, it's a spiritual application because the Chariot card is a very spiritual card. Like you may be also very interested in understanding esoteric or metaphysical concepts. And then we get the Two of Wands reversed. So again, I just feel like you guys are not very people-oriented. You know, you are very strong introverts. I mean, we definitely are getting that you're introverts, but I feel like that's really strong with you guys. Like, forming relationship bonds are just not the most important thing to you. But you love being in your head. And by God, you come up with some amazing light bulb moments. All right, so let's see what your spiritual purpose is. So I'm doing another kind of channeling here where I'm using astrology. In astrology, at least in Western astrology, Vedic is a bit different. If you want to see what someone's life purpose is, a big part of what you're going to look at is where their North Node is. Because North Node is going to kind of define where your soul, what your soul is trying to learn or accomplish in this lifetime. So this is interesting because we get Aries in the second house, which we got for one of the other readings as well, although that was an extremely different personality type. But you guys actually, with Aries in the second type, you are really someone who is part of your purpose in life is to create wealth for yourself, like maybe own your own home, own your own property, but like really focus on meeting your own financial needs is, you know, part of what you're meant to learn in this life. And as I was saying to the other group who had that, you know, when you look at your South Node, which is in opposition to your North Node, that indicates what you were very good at in past lifetimes. And the opposite of this would be Libra in the 8th house. So Libra is about relationships, and the 8th house is about shared money or shared property. And so in your past, you really, the money and the resources that you had were shared resources with someone you had a relationship with. And in this lifetime, you were really just meant to focus more on achieving your own personal prosperity and, you know, really going for it with this Aries energy, and honestly not being afraid of being a little bit selfish, because knowing that you deserve to have prosperity. Let's see what else we get for life purpose. Okay, yeah, definitely you're meant to achieve financial and career success, but also, even though it's not as strong a focus for you guys, relationships and having a romantic partnership is important for you. And also, like, learning who's good for you, because I feel like you all don't want to waste a lot of time spending time with, like, a ton of different people, right? Because you are, like, extremely introverted. You're actually, I feel like, the first introverts we've gotten, but you guys are coming across as, like, super duper introverted. But you want that love at some level. Maybe it's not the strongest motivator in your life, but you really, you know, part of your purpose is just, you know, like, to do what's best for you in terms of romance and in terms of friendship. And, you know, figure out how to choose the right people for you. But also a little bit how to kind of, like, understand people and be a little bit more gracious and hospitable as well, because that doesn't come naturally to you. But it's an area, it's a challenge area for you. Let's see what else we get. Speak your truth. The miracle of nature. And live your joy. Yeah, you guys are just meant to, like, you might be the type to stay inside a lot, but part of your purpose is actually to become more comfortable with nature. And if you are spending a lot of time in nature, that is excellent, and you need to continue doing that. Also, like, you need to be more comfortable experiencing sheer joy, which may not come easily for you as well. I feel like for you all, the life purpose stuff is a lot, like, I feel like you all really chose challenging purposes, you know? That's kind of what I'm getting. I think the speaking your truth is probably the one that would come easiest to you guys, because you don't have so much of a social filter. You're not as worried about how you're going to come across to people, because you're totally okay with being unconventional. But you are encouraged to use that life skill in this lifetime as well. It's important to be able to speak your truth and be very open, and being blunt about how you feel about things is just fine. You know, that's what you're meant to be doing. So how do you guys approach romance? That's the next thing we're going to be looking at. How do you approach your romantic life? I definitely feel like it's not the strongest area of interest for you. So I wonder how you found my channel to begin with, because that's so much of what my readings are. But wow, reconciliation came up twice because it's on this pineapple card, and here again. You're someone who really likes to reconcile with people. You may have differences of opinion with people a lot regarding religion, politics, those kind of, like, big issues, like philosophy maybe might be especially strong for you guys. And maybe it's like you have a hard time being friends with or having romance with. And I feel like the two are really intertwined for you all as well. Like, I feel like you probably approach romance from a friends first mentality. But you like to be very in control. I do feel like there are people who take advantage of you. And again, we got that before. You all need to be learning greater discernment in your romantic life. Sometimes you let people take advantage of you. You might draw people to you who are controlling, and or you are pretty controlling. Again, if we think of Sheldon as an example in the Big Bang Theory, you know, like I'm thinking about how there's that one chair in the apartment, the seat that is his seat, you know, he definitely has some control issues. But yeah, in terms of romance, you like reconciling with people. Like if you have an argument with someone, I feel like it's almost like it's romantic to you to make up with somebody. This is very interesting. But I kind of feel also it's like you guys, it turns you on to have like philosophical debates. That's kind of what I'm getting here as well. So it's like it turns you on to disagree with each other a little bit because there's a little bit of passion that's sparked in that. Again, because you're always looking for these new ideas. So if someone disagrees with you at some level, even though it might ruffle some feathers, it's like you kind of like it because it does, it kind of triggers that crown chakra effect for you guys sometimes where like the arguing, it becomes passionate. And intellectually, it turns you on and kind of gives you these new ideas. But in the process of kind of like, you know, having those intellectual debates, you know, you might hurt people's feelings sometimes. But you kind of like, once you realize you've hurt someone's feelings, you do like making up with them. So that's kind of sweet in a way. I like that. So finally, what is your approach to spirituality? How would we describe? I'm just going to pull one card from the Keepers of the Light deck, and then we'll wrap up the reading. This has been very interesting, you guys. Hilarion, divine healing. Honor your sensitivity, retreat to recharge and heal. Your light can support others. I think you guys are more loving than what you let on is one thing. And I feel like you do in terms of your spiritual perspective, like, because we have this reconciliation, you really, even though you're not very finely tuned to other people's emotions, once someone lets you know that they're hurt by your behavior, you do really genuinely care. And you do approach life very much from your heart. You do have a lot of care for other people. Okay, the world can seem overwhelming to you, and it's okay to retreat to a safe space every now and then to cleanse and recharge your energy. You may feel called to serve others or share your healing with them, but please ensure that you are filled up with light, love, and energy first, so that you are not sacrificing your own development for others. You are surrounded by the healing light of Hilarion and the healing angels at this time so that you can recharge and feel whole. So I feel like you guys understand that, you know, your life is meant to have a healing effect, a healing and loving effect on other people. But also in terms of your approach to spirituality, you are very aware of the fact that in order to be loving and caring for other people, you really need to make sure that your own emotional and social batteries are recharged, and that does require you to spend quite a bit of time alone. All right, so guys, I hope that was very helpful. I really enjoyed that reading. I hope you did as well. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you around. Bye, guys. All right, people who chose reading number 5. First of all, the stone you chose is Lemurian Quartz, and the key phrase is escape your mind. Whenever someone or something you love needs a zap of healing energy, awaken your inner wizard or witch and cast a spell with Lemurian Quartz. So I feel like you all are healers. You have a very healing quality. If you don't even think of yourself as healers, you are without even knowing it. You're natural healers. And in terms of escape your mind, I feel like some of you might be overthinkers or a little bit analytical. Okay, so let's see what else we get for your personality. I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I'm going to be using these tarot cards in 2 different ways. So I'm going to be reading what the cards themselves say about you, but I'm also going to be using this the way that the cards are coming up is kind of an oracle for understanding your Myers-Briggs personality type. If you're not familiar, the Myers-Briggs is just, it's my cat meowing in the background. It's a personality typing system. If you are familiar with it and the type that I come up with you is not the one that you know that you are, that's okay. I'm kind of just using this as a means of channeling, and this isn't not where the whole reading is going to end up. So, but for each card, whether it's reversed or upright, is going to tell me where you fall on the 4 different areas that the Myers-Briggs system looks like. So you are all in reversal. So you are going to be an introverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving person. So an INFP. And so this is one of the few types that I kind of know off the top of my head and I don't have to look it up. So INFPs are very dreamy, like very escapist. Like you can be someone who, if you're in a room of people, you'll be sitting there reading a book, not really paying attention to the people around you, or you're like doodling or like drawing superheroes or whatever. You can get very caught up in like fantasy. You might be interested in sci-fi. You know, just art in general is a very strong interest for INFPs. So you're definitely an introvert, first of all. So you need to have time alone to kind of recharge. Too much time around other people can be very draining. That doesn't mean that you don't like other people. You do. I feel like you find other people to be very inspirational. You know, and you like to share of yourself. You know, sometimes INFPs, when they are around other people, can be very talkative. INFPs are not necessarily shy, although they can be. I feel like INFPs can be a little bit spacey, you know, like you might forget to turn the oven off, lose your keys, that kind of thing, because you're just not as in touch with the practical world. You're very creative. And let's see what else I can say to think about you all. All right, so you guys, in addition to what I've already said, you're very dreaming. You daydream a lot. You have a very, very vivid imagination. You definitely are very values-oriented. You're also perfectionists. You are not the kind of person who could just do any job either. Like the job that you have really needs to have meaning and purpose to you. Let's see. You are very individualistic. Because you are so imaginative, you can really see some solutions to problems that other people would never see, because you're very capable of looking outside of the box. Let's see here. Some famous INFPs are Kurt Cobain, Tori Amos, Helen Keller, Princess Diana, John Lennon. So you tend to be people who, like, you're very idealistic as well, and very, like, you have these strong values and sense of, like, how people should be treated, you know, like you're very loving, and it pains you a lot to see people in the world being mistreated. You kind of have a dream and vision of like a better world. You tend to be that type of person. Let's see. Creative expression is like one of the most important aspects of being an INFP. It's one of the most important things for you. Like if you don't have an outlet for creative expression, you're probably going to become depressed, honestly. You just really need that. All right, so let's see what else we can get here. So looking at the cards themselves, so these are all reversed, and I'm not going to read these all as blockages or anything, because in order to get to the personality type, they had to be reversed, right? But what I feel here is, again, like there's a sense of creativity. You also are very collaborative. Like I feel like you like to work collaboratively with other people. I feel like you're very generous, like in any kind of job that you have, you're not going to be the person who has to take all of the glory or anything like that. You can share credit for a job well done, but you are perfectionistic. You do feel like it's very important for the job to be well done. You have a very strong creative vision. you know, I feel like you probably, in whatever job you're doing, it probably is something that is more focused on creativity and creative self-expression, something artistic. I feel like you, with the Seven of Swords, like, you don't always feel like you have to tell everybody what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, like you dance to the beat of your own drummer. You're like, well, this is the way that I want to do it, and this is how I'm going to do it. Like, you don't necessarily always feel like you have to follow the rules, you know, like, because to you, the vision of what you're trying to achieve is more important than any stupid little rules that might get in the way of you achieving your creative vision. All right, so let's look at what your life purpose might be. So for this as well, I'm kind of channeling, but I'm looking at this in terms of astrology. In astrology, at least in Western astrology, Vedic is different, but in Western astrology, the North Node placement is going to tell you, it's going to be one of the things that tells you the most about a person's life purpose. Okay, so we have Virgo in the 3rd house. Definitely you guys are very communicative. Now, for those of you who are familiar with your astrology, again, like what I said with the Myers-Briggs, if your North Node is not in this placement, again, just think of this as me kind of channeling information about your life purpose. I'm going to be using some oracle cards and other stuff as well, but I feel that you guys, language, communicating through written language, and again, you all need to be expressing yourselves creatively. So a lot of you might be meant to be writers, poets, fiction writers, essayists. But even if you're an essayist, there definitely needs to be a creative element to it. Storytellers, public speakers, anything that involves communications, even filmmaking. You know, but you're very precise. You know, finding the exact right word for something is going to be extremely important for you. Definitely staying in touch with your feelings and other people's feelings is also a part of your life purpose, and finding ways to express that creatively, especially through writing. Okay, yeah. You are definitely meant to be communicators, and I feel like you use creative expression, like art, as a way for you to communicate things that you're very passionate about, like things that even make you angry about the world, like injustices that you see in the world. You find art as a way of expressing that in a way that's peaceful. You know, it's like, yes, you're angry. Yes, you want there to be change in the world, but you use art as a way to bring that message in a more peaceful way. Again, one of the famous INFPs, according to this website I was looking at, is John Lennon. So we can think of him as a good example of someone who did that. You're definitely meant to be a risk taker, you know, like you are meant to like take a leap of faith, you know, like do things maybe that other people would be not willing to do. And you kind of have this sense of faith that things are going to work out for the best. Okay. Let's see what else we can get for your life purpose. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, part of your purpose is just not ever to give up. Sometimes you might suffer financially, but I feel like you're meant to persevere through that, and you always will find a way to make it work. I feel like you also, like with the camel, it's like you have these emotional reserves. Like you, even in the most difficult and challenging situations, part of your purpose is understanding how to make sure that you're emotionally taken care of so that you're not going to get depleted. Yeah, I mean, you are meant to go great distances in life and accomplish a lot. Probably you'll accomplish way more than anyone ever thought that you would, too. Because there are going to be people working against you. We have rat and bat, and both of them have a similar meaning in this deck about people working against you. But you'll be able to overcome that. Like, you definitely have a lot of people who doubt you. They may have just thought, oh, you're just that spacey kid who's always writing in their journal, or, you know, like making these silly doodles. But you're going to prove them all wrong, you know. So next, how do you approach your romantic life? That's what we're asking next. Well, I feel like, again, you like to talk to people a lot. I mean, you might also be very drawn to people from the past, like, you know, like, you're more likely to look from someone from the past who you already have like an emotional connection with, rather than trying to find a new person to form a new connection with. And part of that, again, might be due to the fact that you are very introverted. So meeting and really getting to know a new person is not the easiest thing in the world for you. But I feel like you do like to kind of get to know people in group situations, maybe in like friendship groups or whatever. But the way you approach love is you kind of just follow your sense of attraction. If you're attracted to someone, you like to talk to them and get to know them better. You're definitely not afraid to, even though you're introverted, I feel like if you're really attracted to someone, you're not really afraid to like strike up a conversation, because for you, conversation is such an important means of expression. And I think you're willing to date different types of people that maybe other people wouldn't consider, because, you know, you're kind of a very individualistic person yourself. So you can think outside the box, even in terms of like who you date. So your spirit animal of romance card here is the salamander. It's been a long time since I've looked at this card. I know this is kind of a very spiritual, also very, the salamander is an actual animal, but it's also like a gnome and a fairy. It's an elemental like that. So there is a salamander as well that is like fantastical, which is interesting because the INFP is, you know, one of the personalities that's most in touch with fantasy and imagination. All right, so this is just a homemade deck that I've made, but let me read what I've written here. I represent someone who is quiet and determined. That definitely correlates with what we've gotten so far. I am often overlooked by others because I keep to myself, often with my nose stuck in a book. But the ones who pay attention see me as almost mythically wise and tend to hold me in a kind of reverence that I find both delusional and unnerving. As you can see, I'm not too strong on the self-esteem front. I'm also pretty critical. Whoops. So yeah, you might be a little bit critical of other people. You know, like you might be the kind of person in romance who's like, well, why is this person even interested in me to begin with? But again, we get this sense of you all being overlooked by other people. Yeah, other people do not understand how much you're going to achieve in life. They really underestimate you in general. Okay, advice for you. You're kind of the perpetual underdog, that scrawny kid who's always getting picked on by bullies. You've learned to be tough in the face of adversity, however, and you can cut and run when you need to. You're not opposed to severing ties when you find someone to be toxic. It could be that you need to do so now. Message from your beloved. I don't know why you won't trust me. I just lied to you multiple times and endlessly poked fun of you until you nearly exploded. Seriously, what's the big deal? So it could be that you all tend to like attract romantic partners who are not always super kind to you. Okay. So that's what I'm getting for that. I feel like that's like kind of a rough place to end that portion of the reading. So let's see. I want to pull some other cards. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like you all, like for some of you, sometimes it's easier for you to be alone or like single because you feel so strongly that you've made the right choice. You really weigh out the pros and cons before you get involved in a relationship with someone, but sometimes you end up really doubting it. Once you're in the relationship, you really doubt it. And sometimes you may attract partners who are not very nice to you. But you're always in this state of like, I don't know if this is okay. I don't know if this is not okay. It's like, but if someone is lying to you and making fun of you all the time to the point where you're nearly exploding, obviously that is abusive and not okay. So, all right, so that got kind of heavy, but let's go ahead and move on to the final portion of the reading, which is about your kind of approach to spirituality. For this part of the reading, I am going to pull a card from the Keepers of the Light deck. And we get Lord Ganesh, Infinite Abundance. Obstacles are being removed, spiritual support and connections are increasing. So I'm going to read from the book, but I would say, just first and foremost, you are someone who, it's like you don't even believe in obstacles sometimes. That's part of your approach to spirituality is you're like, well, if I don't limit myself, if I assume that, I can take these leaps of faith in life and assume that things are going to turn out well, then basically there is nothing that can hold me back. So let's see what the book says. It's important at this time to move beyond the limitations of it's not meant to be and focus on if this is for my highest good, then the universe will take me there safely, which I think is the kind of the frame of mind that you all try to stay in. If it's for my highest good, then the universe will take me there safely. Ganesh is not only bringing a clear light to your external situation, but also helping you clear up any inner conflicts. When obstacles arise, know that they are just reminders that you care about your path and that you have the ability to change your current situation. Ganesh is here to help you. Thank him for clearing the way. To increase your connection to him, you may want to chant in Sanskrit. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. All right. So, guys, I hope that reading made sense to you and that you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys. Hey, guys, this is the reading for people who chose reading number 6. And just to start out, your stone that you chose is emerald. Beautiful. And the key phrase is point your heart towards grace. It says, when you use this stone, when you've temporarily lost the courage to love and be loved, when you're in need of a total refresh, open your heart to limitless possibility with emerald. So I feel like you all move through the world with this sort of grace, graceful, heart-centered approach to life. That's what I'm getting first of all. So to get more into your personality, I'm going to be using the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, and I'm going to be using these cards in 2 different ways. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to be using the tarot cards, their actual meanings, but also I'm going to kind of channel like a Myers-Briggs personality type. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm looking at which cards are upright and which cards are reversed. So for the first card, being upright indicates to me that you're more of an extrovert, you're more of a sensing type, more of a feeler and a perceiver. So ESFP. If you're not familiar with the Myers-Briggs it's just a system, a personality typing system. It posits that there are 16 personality types. If you are familiar and ESFP is not what you know your Myers-Briggs type to be, that is okay. That doesn't mean that the reading is not for you, because I'm using this more as a way of channeling, okay? So, all right, so ESFPs are kind of like, they're very fun-loving, very playful, kind of the type of people who are always making jokes. People are always laughing around them. These are people who probably like to host social gatherings. They love having people around. And they they do also like showing off a little bit. So this is not someone who's afraid to brag about themselves. In fact, sometimes, you know, you can maybe brag a lot, but you do it in a way that's very playful, and it's kind of like you just know what's good about yourself, and you're like, oh, I made the best strawberry shortcake, didn't I? You know, like that kind of thing. And people are like, yeah, that strawberry shortcake was damn fucking good. So I feel like you are also people who are very pleasure-oriented. You definitely enjoy the pleasures of life, like good food and drink, you know, like entertainment. You maybe like to go out to shows or go to movies. You're very active people. Always looking for something fun to do. Let's see here. You're very warm and generous, extremely generous. And sometimes you use your generosity as well as a way to kind of make people like you, because you are very concerned with what people think of you. And I feel like there are moments when you try to cover that up a little bit with like maybe being too extra generous, or, you know, because it's your way of ensuring that people do like you. Your sense of humor is a way of doing that as well, because you all are very funny and extremely playful. You really are very good at being in the moment. Like if you are, you know, if you're at the mall shopping for a sweater, you're at the mall shopping for a sweater. Your head is not somewhere else. Your head is not at the grocery store trying to figure out which grapes are best to buy, you know, like you're in the moment that you're in, which is nice because it means that you're like naturally a very mindful person. You're very entertaining. You're a pretty common sense person. Like, I feel like you can, maybe because you're so playful and not necessarily always super concerned with the practical aspects of life, because you'd rather have fun. Maybe people wouldn't see that about you, but you are fairly practical. You're definitely more realistic than you are abstract. Abstract thinking is not like your, you know, primary interest in life. You like things to be more concrete. And you do have very strong interpersonal skills. You get along with other people. You definitely like the focus to be on you a lot. And that is well deserved, to be fair. Some famous ESFPs are Katy Perry, Elvis Presley, Nicki Minaj, Pink. Let's see. All right, well, I think that gives us a pretty good idea. Now let me look at the cards as well. So we have the Queen of Cups. So as we've already said, you're very warm and generous. Like you are that person who people like to talk to you about their personal lives. You also like to talk to people about your personal life. It definitely goes both ways. You're there for other people and they come to you and they like talking to you about emotional stuff. I feel like in general, you do like to try to keep it lighthearted. I feel like even when you're going through a difficult situation, like you'll talk to that about people, but you would prefer to focus more on what's going well. With the 10 of Pentacles as well, like it's very important to you to form strong bonds with people, because at some level you really understand that you're going to need people to be around for you in order for, you know, like as you get older in life, like you realize you're like having a strong support system is extremely important, you know, like, so you are very committed to building a very strong, stable foundation of friendship and community. let's see, I'm not sure what Ace of Wands is trying to say. Yeah, I mean, some of you can probably, you know, because this is a personality type that can be very pleasure-seeking, like drugs, alcohol, drug use, overeating, those kinds of things can be, or just like, you know, lounging and watching TV, being a couch potato instead of being physically active. You like to be active doing fun things, right? You know, but in terms of like being active in a way that's just for the purpose of like supporting your physical health, you may not be, because again, like you like life to be very pleasurable. So in some ways that can be a little bit, there can be a little bit of an escapist tendency, I feel like, with you guys. So let's see what your life purpose is. Let's see here. So with this, I am kind of drawing upon astrology. Again, it's kind of like a means of channeling. So for those of you who are super knowledgeable, for you all I'm getting 2, I don't know why. For those of you who are super knowledgeable of astrology and you know where your North Node is, that's what I'm going to be looking at, is like the North Node. Oh, I'm getting Aries again. It just keeps wanting to come out. Okay, interesting. I'm just using this as a means to channel. So if your North Node is somewhere else in your chart than this, that's okay. I'm just kind of channeling information about your life purpose this way. In astrology, the North Node is one of the points that most strongly indicates life purpose. That's in Western astrology. Vedic is a little bit different. But anyway, we have Aries in the 8th house or the 12th house. So Aries is someone, again, who's like, you know, not afraid to focus on their own self-interest, their own personal needs. So I feel like you need to be concerned with your own needs. Specifically, when it comes to the 8th house is about kind of those taboo things that we don't talk about. Sex, death, other people's money, like inheritances. Those things that we tend to keep kind of hush-hush, you know, like the dark stuff, like the skeletons in the closet. So I feel like you are meant to be someone who is not afraid of addressing those issues. You know, you're not afraid of talking about those taboo subjects. Or just like doing what's right for you in regards to those areas of life. Like when it comes to other people's money, like if you feel like that money is supposed to be yours, you know, like it's okay for you to be like, hey, you know, I deserve this raise, for example. Like this raise should be mine, or that inheritance rightly belongs to me, that kind of thing. You know, like Aries in the 8th house in terms of sex, like, you know, like not being afraid of pursuing your own personal pleasure sexually, you know, like, because your pleasure matters just as much as your partner's. And the 12th house is about spirituality, and it's about spirituality in terms of like the collective unconscious sort of, like the very ethereal, like difficult to define. You know, the 12th house can be about like going into meditation. You're hearing my cat Coco meow in the background. So I feel like you guys, part of your life purpose is like trying to figure out who you are. Like, what is your identity in terms of the collective whole? You know, I like to use the metaphor sometimes that each of us is kind of like a drop of rain that is falling into the ocean. So the ocean is sort of like symbolic of who we are as a collective whole. But we're also all individuals. And so I feel like you guys, sometimes you can get a little bit enmeshed, I feel like. Maybe boundaries are not super strong for you guys always. And I feel like part of your life purpose is how to establish better boundaries of who you are, distinct from other people because you really care about other people's feelings about you. And sometimes it's better to have strong boundaries and say, no, that's who you are. That's what you want out of life. But this is who I am, what I want out of life. Okay, so that's what I'm getting for life purpose. I'm going to use some oracle cards as well for a little bit more about life purpose. These are the Angel Prayers Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. Honor your feelings. Yeah, your feelings are important. You really care about other people's feelings with the Queen of Cups here, but you need to honor your own as well. Being in touch with nature is extremely important. It really helps to ground you all as well because you do have these escapist tendencies. Woo! Okay, so thunder. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but there's thunder outside. Spiritual abundance. Yeah, part of your life purpose is also to like really help other people to understand how to be happy, because you're really good about at how to be happy, or like how to put a positive spin on things as well. You're someone who's very grateful, and that is part of your life purpose, to express gratitude for all that you have in life. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, you definitely are someone who's meant to have a very prosperous life financially and unapologetically too. I feel like some of you might have some difficult stuff in your family life, either grief. I feel like some of you who have lost loved ones, and maybe you've received an inheritance from your loved one or something, or there have been family conflicts for some of you regarding inheritances. So part of your purpose is to work through the broken bridges that occur within your family, maybe regarding money or just other issues, but definitely repairing bridges, you know, within your family is also part of your purpose, and that's kind of a difficult one sometimes. So let's see how you approach your romantic life. Let's see what we get here. Let's see. Well, it's very important to you, I feel like, to align yourselves in a relationship with someone who has good finances or like a very solid career. Like, that's important to you, and it's totally okay for that to be important to you, because you make the effort in your own career life, and you make the effort emotionally for your partner as well. And you definitely don't want to be, you know, like carrying someone else's load. I feel like you are someone who likes you like to have a romantic partner who gets along with your friends and family, because you're very social. You like to have lots of social gatherings. Maybe you like to have cookouts or like potlucks or just any social gathering. You are a very great host or hostess. And so you need to have a partner who can really get along with your friends. That's very important for you. Let me also get a card for you guys from the Spirit Animals of Romance deck, which is just, this is interesting, which is just a homemade deck that I've been making. And you all are getting the Moth Spirit Animal, which is pretty dark. I don't think this is an aspect that you let everyone see about you, but maybe you do let people see it in your romantic life more so than in other areas of your life, because the Moth is kind of a very deep, dark, emotional energy. I represent someone who is not afraid of the darker aspects of the feminine. I am one with the dark side of the moon. You think I do not know a true light, but I know that the light the moon reflects is somehow her own. She changes the sun in a way the sun could never quite change her. So I do also feel like in partnerships, you don't let someone change you. Like, you're very, you know, we got that before about that being part of your life purpose, like to be very firm in knowing who you are and not allowing someone else's identity to shape you or change you. So I feel like in terms of your romantic life, that's true as well. Advice for you. Someone might think your dark emotional intensity is a bit too much. Maybe they even think you're crazy. Those few souls you really let in know the truth. You are gentle and evanescent. Your darkness is, in fact, luminous. If you are having trouble seeing this truth, get yourself a better GD mirror. I feel like it might be a little bit reversed for you all. Like most people see you as very gentle and lighthearted. But when you have a romantic relationship and really get close to someone, I feel like they see a much darker aspect of who you are and a real emotional intensity that you don't normally show to other people. And I kind of feel like this in particular might show itself when you're having sex, because we did have the 8th house here. And that is a very brooding, dark energy. Okay. Message from your beloved. Everything about you is so mysterious. To know you is to peer into dark woods. To be one with you is to venture into the depths of caves. Still, I wonder how much I will ever really know about you. You are a never-ending story, a gothic tale I can't put down. So yeah, this is how, when you're in a relationship with someone, this is kind of how they view you, because you know, you seem so lighthearted on the surface, and then once they get involved with you, they realize that there's so much more to the story. And that might be part of why some of you are really drawn, perhaps, to like drugs and or alcohol as like an escape mechanism to cope, because you do have like this dark side that not everyone sees. But you do let your romantic partner see it. And I think that that is positive. You know, that you can feel comfortable being yourself and really showing your true self. Although your romantic partners don't think that they're ever really going to know the truth of who you are as well. Okay, so finally, what is your approach to spirituality? Pulling one card from the Keepers of the Light deck. Let's see, I don't think I have it yet. Commander Ashtar, call to action. Take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. So you definitely are someone who sees yourself spiritually as being a leader and like showing other people how to be in life. You are receiving a call to action and being asked to step up and create the changes you want to see in the world. Divine inspiration is all around you, and Ashtar and his legion of cosmic angels are standing by to offer you loving support. Know that you are being encouraged to be honest, assertive, and true in a loving way. You may feel your ego trying to hold you back, but know that when you take the first step, the next one will soon follow. Take some time to connect with the universe by looking up at the stars, knowing that there are loving beings of light gazing back down on you. You are not alone. So I think part of your spiritual approach is that you are always reminding yourself that you're not alone, that you have guides and angels, that God loves you and cares about you. You also feel like it's very important to be honest and assertive and true to yourself. But you do try to express that in a loving way. You don't try to walk over anybody, but you also feel like you have just as much right as anybody else to be who you are, right? So that is kind of how you approach life spiritually. All right, guys, I hope that that reading was meaningful and helpful to you. And I'm going to go ahead and move on. There's the thunder again. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. All right, this is for people who chose reading number 7. First of all, the stone that you chose is magnesite. The key phrase is get your mind right. When to use it? When you're just too smart for your own good. When you're completely lost in your thoughts. Or your thoughts are running wild, dragging you behind them. Remember, the mind is a powerful thing. You rule it, or it rules you. Meditate every day and show it who's boss with magnesite. So I guess as an initial key to your personality, you are someone who really gets caught up in your thoughts pretty easily. But let's get further into it. I think we can find out much more about you than that. I'm going to be using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck here in 2 different ways. So I'm going to be just interpreting the cards themselves, but I'm also going to be using this to kind of understand what your Myers-Briggs personality type might be, or at least channel some information about you. So the Myers-Briggs personality type, it's a system, you know, to determine a person's personality if you're not familiar. If you do know your Myers-Briggs type and it's not what I say it is, that's okay. I'm using this partly as just a way to channel information about your personality. So I have this little table that I've made here. So in the Myers-Briggs system, there are 4 different areas that they look at. So first is whether you're extroverted or introverted. So I'm saying you're introverted because this is reversed. Introverted, sensing, feeling, perceiving. So ISFP. ISFP. All right, so I kind of had to look up about ISFPs because I wasn't familiar. But ISFPs are very in touch with their senses, so they very much enjoy beauty and artistry in terms of like touch, touch, taste, smell, all of those things. Like if you're driving through a new city, you're probably going to be paying attention to the architecture. You might be someone who likes listening to music or going to museums. You love perceiving the beauty of what's around you. You notice colors, you notice sounds. You're very attuned to those sorts of things. You also, although you are an introvert, you do really like getting to know other people because you're curious. You are someone who generally seeks wisdom in life. You are very serious and disciplined, but other people may not always see that because you can come across as spontaneous. You like adventure, you like, experiencing new things. You are generally very tactful and considerate of how other people feel. You don't like to be restricted. You're someone who would do well in very hands-on type professions like artist, teacher, chef, physical therapist, anything that has to do with like the medical field, really. Service positions, but you like to do things that are very hands-on rather than things that are just like sitting at a computer. You would definitely prefer to like be doing things that involve using your hands. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm not trying to waste your time. You're a very good listener. You're pretty laid back, warm and friendly. You are, you take your commitments seriously. When you are at a job, when you have a job to do, it's very important for you to fulfill your duties. Even though you are an introvert, but you do like interacting with people, again, because you like to learn about people. But you are yourself hard to get to know. So when you're talking to someone, you might be more the kind of person to ask them a lot of questions about themselves and not reveal quite as much about yourself. You're also a very independent person. You definitely enjoy being more relaxed. And you like having your private life to be private. So let's look at these cards as well and see what more they can tell us about you. So we have 2 9 cards here, the 9 of Cups and then the 9 of Pentacles. So, these are both people who are alone but very satisfied. The 9 of Pentacles, I feel like you are probably someone who has a very beautiful home. Like it's important for for your personal space to be decorated in a certain way because that just makes you feel good about yourself. You probably have a lot of art on the walls. Maybe you have a lot of beautiful collectibles, knickknacks, that kind of thing. You know, you try to stay in more of a positive frame of mind, and you like to get as much enjoyment out of life as you can. That said, I think you're not someone who's afraid of a battle of the wills, you know, because like if you feel like you need to assert yourself, you will, you know, because you trust your own instincts. And if you're right, you know, like you're not afraid to, you know, tell people that you're right about something. With the Two of Pentacles, I feel like you often feel uncertain about things in life. I also feel like, because you do like to kind of take a leadership role, but you're very aware, this is more like a job thing, but like you're very aware of who holds the power in your workplace. And so you try to balance out your need to kind of take leadership with also your recognition of who has the power, because you don't really want to get trampled on the person in power, but you also might not always agree with the person in power. So I feel like you try to take diplomatic measures to still get what you want, but not in a way that's going to get you in trouble, you know, because you like life to be joyful and simple for the most part. Okay, so let's see what your life purpose is. So for this portion, I'm also kind of doing a channeling, and this is astrological. So if you guys out there are very familiar with your astrological charts, I'm kind of channeling based on what your North Node might be. So Sagittarius in the 4th house. And so if you're watching and if you know, for example, that your North Node is not Sagittarius in the 4th house, then that's okay. Because again, this is just me kind of channeling. I'm going to be using some oracle cards as well. And so for those of you who don't know, in astrology, the North Node, the placement of the North Node by sign and house is going to be indicative of, it's going to tell you a lot about your life purpose. At least in Western astrology. In Vedic, which is what's practiced mostly in India, it is a little bit different. So I don't think it has the same meaning in that system. Okay. Okay, so the 4th house is about home and family. And Sagittarius is a sign that really wants to explore big ideas and concepts and really see the big picture. Sagittarius can be a very spiritual and or philosophical sign. It's someone who is interested in studying and learning. This is someone who's always seeking greater and greater wisdom. And I feel like in general, that's your general personality, is to be someone who is a seeker of wisdom. I feel like part of your life purpose is to take everything you're learning, like when you go out into the world, you're meant to bring that into your personal life. So with your close friends, your close family, you know, whoever it is you live with or whoever it is you grew up with in terms of your family, or your old friends, like you are meant to go out and explore the world and experience new people and places, you know, maybe even visit other countries or learn about other cultures. That's very important for the Sagittarius energy. But whatever that wisdom is that you find in being an explorer, you're also meant to bring that back to the people who are close to you. You're meant to bring that wisdom into your internal, like your inner world, and really make sense, I think, of who you are on a personal level. So, you know, Sagittarius sees the big picture, but when you understand these, you know, when you look at culture and philosophy and religion, you want to look at it on a global scale, but you also want to look at it on what does it mean on the personal scale. And I feel like you're trying to balance the two, you know, so maybe you might have a certain belief system, but maybe, you know, when it comes to your home and family, you don't necessarily always bring that up. Or if you do, you try to bring it up very tactfully. Even if it's something you're very passionate about, you try to find ways with your family to address those issues tactfully, especially if you know that they don't agree with you. But you're also someone who's always realizing that there's more to learn. So you're never going to assume that you know everything. And so because of that, you tend to be very open-minded, and that's part of your life purpose. Okay. Yeah, you're someone who is very capable of overcoming tense situations. You're comfortable with that. You know, like you are someone who can bring harmony and balance to situations. You can also be a mediator for people who are having conflict. That can be part of your purpose. Let's see. Some of these cards just don't. Okay. I also feel like you are, part of your purpose as well is to always see even in difficult times, you're like always looking to see how kind of like your wishes are being granted. Although it might look like things are going badly. Like say, I used to have a coworker who I feel like probably had this personality type, the ISFP that we were talking about. And she had this collection of china. I can't think of what it's called. Fiesta ware or something. And again, like, you know, I never visited her home, but I saw pictures of her Fiesta ware, and it was beautifully displayed in this cabinet. But like, I feel like she's someone who, if one of those pieces had gotten broken, yeah, that would have like kind of like made her unhappy. But I feel like she would have also seen, well, hey, you know, this is a good excuse to go out and buy something new, right? So it's like, you know, you definitely can find yourself in some tense interpersonal situations as well, right? Because you're not afraid to make your own feelings known and really assert yourself. But at the same time, you can bring peace and optimism to even really difficult life situations, situations that most people would, you know, like cry over spilled milk. You're like, it's just milk, you know, like there's more milk to be had. Okay, so that's sort of your life purpose. How do you approach romance? Let's see here. How do you approach your romantic life? Free yourself. You definitely like to be free and independent. Wow. Okay. Well, you might be someone who actually prefers to stay single a lot. I mean, you might have this Sagittarian energy, which is like a freedom-seeking energy as well. Like, so maybe you attract to you situations where like it's a person you can't actually be with for some reason, or situations where like you really like the person, but maybe they don't like you as much back, or vice versa. And so it's like, maybe unconsciously you're creating situations where you're just like kind of free and single. But I feel like also like you, I think that in terms, I feel like you would prefer, if you had children, to have a partner to raise those children with. So that's what I'm getting as well. Let me also pull a card for you from the Spirit Animals Romance deck, which is just a deck that I've been creating on my own. It's a handmade deck. I get Moth and Heron. I don't really feel the Moth energy for you. I'm going to read Heron first, but I'll read Moth as well because there's a reason they both fell out. When I shuffle this deck, I just close my eyes because the name of the animal is on the back. I don't remember all of what I wrote for each animal, but for some of them I do. And Moth came up for one of the other readings earlier. But also Moth is easy for me to remember. Okay, Heron. I represent someone who generally gets what I want due to great skills of timing and precision. I definitely feel like this makes sense with this five of swords and 2 of pentacles. I was probably one of the star members of the varsity team, on the honor roll, and had good looks to boot. Always friendly and well-liked. Most people would be surprised how much solitude I require and enjoy. I can be a bit of a bookworm. So that's interesting, because when I was looking up this personality type, a lot of times people wouldn't know that this is an introvert because they are very friendly and well-liked. Also, I can be a bit of a bookworm. Okay, so advice for you. If you're looking for love, you might need to get out and socialize a bit more. You tend to have a lot of interests, hobbies, so find groups or organizations of people who share those interests. You tend to enjoy socializing with an impersonal purpose like this rather than just hanging out. So this is a great way to stretch your intellectual or physical muscles and get some socialization as well. Message from your beloved. A lot of people admire you, but I know that you will only truly love the one who you can admire inside and out. I think that's me. I hope it's me. Sometimes I have doubts, but I'm going to try to prove myself to you. So this is the way partners or romantic interests view you. They see that you are well admired by a lot of people, but they also know that you're not going to get involved in a relationship with someone unless you truly admire them. It isn't just about being attracted to them. It's about like truly having an admiration for the person. So we also get moth energy, and maybe this is coming up because there are a couple of different types of people watching. Okay, so the moth says, I represent someone who is not afraid of the darker aspects of the feminine. I am one with the dark side of the moon. You think I do not know a true light, but I know that the light of the moon but I know that the light the moon reflects is somehow her own. She changes the sun in a way that the sun could never quite change her. Advice for you. Someone might think your dark emotional intensity is a bit too much. Maybe they even think you're crazy. Those few souls who you really let in know the truth. You are gentle and evanescent. Your darkness is, in fact, luminous. If you are having trouble seeing this truth, get yourself a better GD mirror. Message from your beloved. Everything about you is so mysterious. To know you is to peer into dark woods. To be one with you is to venture into the depths of caves. Still, I wonder how much I will ever really know about you. You are a never-ending story, a gothic tale I can't put down. So we did get earlier that you are like a personality that's a bit difficult to know, because I feel like you know, even though you socialize easily with people and you're friendly and well-liked, you really value your private life. You're not telling everyone about your deepest, darkest emotions. So I think perhaps that's part of why the moth is coming up. But in terms of your romantic life, you are more likely to let a partner see more about that deep, dark emotional intensity. Like, you know, maybe you're more willing to talk to them about like your emotional pain or like difficult times you've had in life. And perhaps you don't do that as much with just casual friends or acquaintances. Okay, so, all right, the final thing we're going to ask is how do you approach spirituality? What's kind of your spiritual style? Serapis Bay Ascension. Move into your true self. Rise above the darkness. The light is here. Let me read what the book says about this. You definitely are someone who feels like self-improvement is like essential to your spiritual view of life. The stars cannot shine without darkness. You may have experienced a low state of being, trauma, or depression, but this is a new beginning. Become aware of growth. There is always room for improvement. There's also a sense of presentation now. You may be receiving documentation or certification to acknowledge your growth or experience. It's important to cherish this time and to realize that without the challenges or obstacles you have faced, you wouldn't be as strong, powerful, or focused as you are today. You are ascending personally and spiritually at this time, and the universe is here to support it. So yeah, you definitely are someone who always feels the need to kind of like move up to the next level, spiritually and personally, also professionally. I am feeling like that's very important to you all, and that, you know, that's to you all, that is definitely, there is an element of spiritual purpose in that. You know, that you're not meant to just rest on your laurels, but always improve yourself. So guys, I hope that that reading was very meaningful and helpful to you. I'm going to move on to the next, but I'll see you later. Bye, guys. All right. Hello, people who chose reading number 8. The stone that you chose is moldavite. Such a pretty, beautiful stone. And the key phrase is transform your life on earth. So just to start out, you guys are very transformative. I feel like you are constantly evolving. So let me get more about your personality. I'm going to use the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I'm reading these cards in 2 different ways. So I'm just going to read the cards themselves, but I've created a way to use this as an oracle to kind of determine your possible Myers-Briggs personality type. So if you're not familiar, the Myers-Briggs is just a system for determining a person's personality. And if you are familiar and you already know your Myers-Briggs type, and the type I say is not the one that you know that you are, then that's okay. I'm just kind of using this more as a means of channeling information about you. And there's going to be a lot more to the reading than just this as well. So here's what so in Myers-Briggs, there are 4 different areas that you look at. And so depending on whether each of these cards is upright or reversed, it's going to tell me, you know, where you fall in terms of the Myers-Briggs. So I feel like you're more of an introvert, introverted, sensing, feeling, perceiving, right? Introverted, sensing, feeling, perceiving. Yeah, so an ISFP, which is actually the same type that came up in the last reading, but I feel like we're going to come up with some different information than what we came up with before. But in general, the ISFP personality type, because we have different cards here, so this is going to be a different reading, and maybe some of those, maybe you're like an ISFJ or something, or an ISTP or something like that's similar to this. But an ISFP is someone who likes to have an occupation that's very hands-on generally. So you're not likely to be someone who wants to like do data analysis or be stuck at a computer all day. You like to be using your hands. So you could be a chef or a teacher or something like that. But definitely you want to be doing something that's very hands-on. You're someone who's very warm. You are friendly. You definitely love to talk to other people, even though you might be more of an introvert. People might not necessarily realize that you're an introvert because you are so friendly and easy to talk to. But you are very private, and I think people don't always realize how private you are. You know, and you engage people in conversation, but a lot of it is based on asking them questions about themselves. You like to talk to people about them because you like to learn about other people. It's your way of kind of learning about life and kind of applying that back to yourself, maybe learning about yourself in the process, but you don't always divulge as much about yourself. Maybe you'll divulge certain details, but you're not going to divulge the most private things about yourself. Let's see, what should we also say about ISFPs? Some famous ISFPs: Marie Antoinette, Fred Astaire, Kevin Costner, Michael Jackson, Steven Spielberg, Barbara Streisand, Brooke Shields. So you're very in tune also with your five senses. Like when you walk into a room, you're going to notice the colors and textures in the room. So ISFPs tend to be people who have nicely decorated homes. You know, you're going to have art on the walls. You're going to have bric-a-bracs and things like that because you're very sensual. You're going to have nice throw blankets, you know, and stuff like that. Or, you know, you take care about those sorts of things. Maybe also in the way you dress. You are very conscientious. That doesn't mean that you're stylish exactly, although you might be, but you care about the way different colors come together and stuff like that. You're very sensual, and like the example I gave with the other people as well is like if you're driving through a new city, you're going to notice the architecture. Why can't I say that word? Architecture. Yeah, so you're a very sensual person. So let's see also what the tarot cards have to say about you. Well, we have the Tower card reversed. This came up earlier, and it was for a very different personality type. That was for, see, the INTP, I think is who that was for. But I see the Tower card reversed as having to do with like maybe a blockage in the crown chakra. Like I feel like you guys are very intuitive, but you, at times, maybe you block it a little bit. You could also be the type of people who are very good at averting crisis. A lot of ISFPs are drawn to the medical field because it is, again, it's very hands-on. And I think ISFPs do like to be of assistance and feel helpful. So you could be someone who's very good in an emergency as well. We also have the Strength card. So I feel like you are very good at, you know, like calming people down, you know, like, again, like crisis situations. Like if someone's very angry or hostile, like you can really calm them down. You can have a very comforting presence. I feel like in general, you're very good at dealing with people who are aggressive. You know, like some of you may even work in customer service and be good at like calming down irate customers, that sort of thing. So we get the Six of Swords as well and the Ace of Pentacles. I do feel like you all have like a very healing presence. I feel like you do, like I said, you don't let everyone get to know you on a very personal level, but the people who you do let in, like you're really loyal to them. Like you feel this obligation to really take care of people. And I do also feel like you all are very compassionate when you feel like other people are suffering mentally or emotionally. I feel like you have also a lot of compassion for people who suffer with mental illness. We also have the Ace of Pentacles. So again, I feel like this just goes back to you all being very sensual. Like you're very attuned to your five senses. Like, you know, if you walk through a flower garden, you're going to be very aware. Like, of course, everyone walking through a flower garden is going to notice the flowers, but you're really going to notice the sights and smells that are all around you, no matter where you are. I do also feel like you guys really enjoy being out in nature. Like, nature is very important to you. I'm getting that as well. So next, we're going to channel a little bit about your life purpose. And for this, I am going to be relying on astrology. And astrology in your natal chart, looking at your North Node, is going to be what's going to tell you. Why does Aries keep coming up? It's come up in 4 readings. In the 4th house. Anyways, the North Node is going to tell you a lot about your life purpose, where you know what you're moving towards in this lifetime. the challenge like you're trying to learn, what you're trying to learn spiritually. So if you're already aware of where your North Node is and it's not Aries in the 4th house, that's okay. Again, because I'm just kind of trying to channel. I'm also going to use some oracle cards for this. But Aries in the 4th house, I feel like, is someone who, when you're at home with your home and family, the people you care about, in your private life, Aries in the 4th house means that part of your life purpose is to just be an individual and to be willing to put your own needs first, you know. Because in many past lifetimes, you've honed the skill of the opposite of this, which would be Libra in the 10th house. So Libra in the 10th house is people who care a lot about partnerships and other people and relationships in the public life or in the career life. So you really are good at working interpersonally with people who you work with or who you meet out in public. But the area that you need to work on is like focusing on meeting your own needs and asserting your own needs in your home. Not being afraid to say, hey, this is how I like it to be. Maybe you're like, I want the temperature to be at whatever degrees that I like it to be at. Okay, so what else do we get? Healthy choices. Okay, so part of your life purpose is learning how to forgive. I mean, I feel like that's part of everyone's life purpose. And also just like getting in touch with your inner power. We have the Strength card as well. So I feel like you are a very powerful person. And you are meant to understand that. Like you also are very transformative. I see this snake around his neck. You have this transformative healing effect on other people. You have a strong power over other people. Like you can take a lion and tame it. You know what I mean? Like on a metaphorical sense, you have the power to change other people. You're also, part of your life purpose is to pursue like a path of healthy living. That also kind of relates to the Strength card, which can be a very health-oriented tarot card as well. So, learning about nutrition, eating the right foods, being involved in an active physical life, a mind, body, spirit approach as well, I think, especially with these two cards coming up here. And also emotional health, like learning that forgiveness ultimately benefits you because you're letting go of that toxicity that resentment and anger can build, which is not healthy. And you're meant to be making healthy choices at all levels. Let's see if we get anything else here. I feel like really keeping a nice home, like decorating your home nicely, as strangely as it sounds, is also part of your life purpose. And maybe interior decorating may or may not be a life purpose, but whether you do it for other people or not, you definitely should be doing it for yourself. Practicing feng shui, maybe. And you just are someone who is meant to continue to collect wisdom throughout your life's path. You're definitely meant to form like close personal friendships with a select few people who you really trust. We get deep personal strength and peace that assures success. So the word strength is coming up multiple times. Like, I feel like you're just supposed to really appreciate life, like appreciate the simple things in life. Like, like a nicely decorated room or like a comfortable pillow, just really appreciating the simple pleasures. Okay, so next let's ask, what is your approach to romance? Whew, we're at 2.5 hours almost of me talking. My voice is about to give out. Of course, being an introvert myself, the only time I would ever spend 2.5 hours talking is if I were in a room alone, as I'm doing now. That's not true. There are definitely times when I do this with other people. It just doesn't happen very often. For introverts, like, it has to be like someone you feel really comfortable with. Okay, so calling in your soulmate, children, and love yourself first. So how do you approach your love life? Well, you are definitely seeking a higher kind of love. Like, you definitely are in tune with the kind of spiritual vibration of your connections with other people. You also might be someone who really seeks to have children with someone, or like, children are an important factor in how you determine who you align yourself with romantically. You want to be involved with someone who is good with children. And I'm also getting with animals. For some people, it might be more animals rather than children, or it could be animals in addition to children. But I think you like being with someone who enjoys having pets and really treating them like children, or like having actual children. You definitely, it's important for you to have self-respect in terms of how you approach your love life. And you're not going to be with someone who makes you feel disrespected. Okay, I'm going to also pull your spirit animal of romance card. You're getting the rhinoceros. So this is just a handmade deck I've been making. I represent someone who will win at all costs and tends to view every interaction as a battle. I am quite brave, and my fearlessness will earn me many wonderful adventures. If you are worthy of my friendship, I will defend you against any attack. Advice for you: does there really always need to be a winner and a loser? Try to see if it's possible to compromise without also compromising your sense of self-respect. People naturally respect you, so there's no need to bulldoze them into it. So I feel like in terms of your love life, you could have a problem with, you know, you lose self-respect in terms of like feeling like you have to always be the winner. You're trying to like get self-respect, but you kind of are losing self-respect in that process because you're kind of making yourself out to look, you know, like a bull in a china shop or a rhinoceros in a china shop. Message from your beloved: sometimes I feel like it's your way or the highway, and I love you, so I don't want to hit the highway. Please just let go of your need to control everything already. So that's interesting, because like someone who needs to control everything at home is like, is part of your spiritual purpose with Aries in the 4th house. Like, that maybe you guys are meant to learn, like, how can you like assert your own needs in your home life, in your personal life, without really like bulldozing people over. You know what I mean? Like, how do you find the balance there? But in your romantic life, you do feel totally comfortable asking for things to be your way, you know? And that's your way of loving yourself first. Like, you have these boundaries and you're not afraid to assert them. So that's what I'm getting for you guys. Our final question is like, how do you approach spirituality? That's kind of your spiritual personality, if you will. I'm going to pull one card from the Keepers of the Light deck. And then that will wrap up the reading. Let's see. Kuan Yin, care and compassion. Choose to be loved. Do what is right for everyone involved. Offer a helping hand. So you definitely love to be compassionate towards other people. You like to be helpful, and you feel like that's part of your spiritual purpose, is to be helpful and compassionate and consider what is good for everyone. First of all, the Keepers of the Light want you to acknowledge all the service and commitment you have offered to others. You are all love. If you are finding it difficult with anyone at the moment, the best way you can move forwards is to go beyond wanting to understand why or how they are the way they are. Just move beyond their behavior, mistakes, and challenges. This card brings a message of friendship and care, helping you see that those around you do have the best intentions, even if it doesn't always seem that way. Move into compassion and develop a greater understanding. This will elevate your spirit and connection to love. And that might go back to this Miracle of Forgiveness card as well. Maybe you all really see the spiritual purpose in being a very forgiving, loving, compassionate human being and trying to see the best in people, even when, you know, people really give you reasons not to see the best in them, even when they're showing the not so great sides of themselves. All right, so guys who chose number 8, I hope that you really got a good message out of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye, guys.